Hello, my name is Jordan Black. I'm going to be interviewing my grandfather, who currently lives in Puerto Rico. He was born in Puerto Rico and he learned Spanish while he was in Puerto Rico before he came over to Syracuse, New York in about 1968. I'm going to play a clip, which is like one of my favorite clips of what he said during it, and then we'll get into the questions and the content.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. People are crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be equal. You know what I mean? What color you are or what you are, because so you look real good, good, good.
hmm
The thing is, everybody is we got blood every place, man.
And now on to the first question.
Where did you attend
And,
school in Puerto Rico or when you came over here?
no, in Puerto Rico, I think it's cool.
I think one of the more important things is that he ended up learning English when he came to Syracuse, and he learned it from being here and talking to people as opposed from something like a school. So he doesn't actually end up learning English from any formal training. It's actually strictly from talking to people and experiencing things with people.
So how did you learn English when you came over?
I learned English because I come to Syracuse.
Okay.
It took me a couple of years, but I learned.
A lot of the theming for the very start of the interview revolves around him learning English and how he learned it and how he thinks about like his accent or things like dialects and how he came to be judged for his accent or for how he couldn't speak English or how not speaking English or speaking English impacted him directly and how that might have impacted, say, his grandchildren or his children.
So for me, you have a very thick accent when you speak in English. Do you find that the accent is something you don't mind, or do you mind that you have the accent?
No, I don't mind. Almost every Spanish speak English almost got an accent anyway. Some people know because maybe they learn going to school. Like me, I got an accent. Like me, I can read English, but I can write it.
So after this, we talk about his accent and if he had it when he was first learning. And there's a longer clip that goes over my experience with like his accent and also his experience with having to speak Spanish while he's in Puerto Rico when he does want to actually speak English to keep up on it, but everybody speaks Spanish. So it's really difficult for him to actually improve on his English because he'll start to forget words the longer he's in Puerto Rico because a lot of people aren't speaking English to him and he's not able to keep up on the skills that he acquired.
When you were first learning English, did you always have that accent?
Yeah, I always had it.
Always.
I think before it was worse.
I do
Well, the
remember that
beginning
it
is
was.
real worse. Yeah, my English was real bad. My sense was real bad. And
Yeah.
still, I live in Puerto Rico. It's hard for me over here. Nobody speak English.
Oh wow.
Every Spanish, 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 and sometimes you forgot. Like me, I forget a lot of words. I need to remember it, saying it because
Yeah.
sometimes because
Yeah.
I know talking all the time.
Now, what's interesting about this is it's basically code switching, and he says that he's done it both ways. Where if he's in Puerto Rico longer, he'll start speaking or he'll start forgetting words of English. But if he comes over to Syracuse, he'll start speaking Spanish to people, and they'll get upset. And it's the same way where he was in Syracuse for a while, and when he went back to Puerto Rico and he spoke English, they would get upset with him for doing that, like code switching. But he felt as though in Puerto Rico, and when you're speaking English, a lot of people don't actually get as upset. Whereas if he speaks Spanish to somebody that doesn't speak Spanish, they get upset and they don't like it essentially, which is very interesting because as somebody who spoke English my entire life, I don't get a I don't get a reaction for speaking English unless I speak a certain dialect of English that somebody doesn't like, as opposed to if I speak another language, somebody gets judged immediately for speaking that other language because that person judging them doesn't speak it.
No, the only problem I had was, como I was over in Syracuse so many years, when I come back over here, I speak more English over there. People over here sometimes I speak English to them. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
yeah.
And no me. I'm not trying to do it. You know, it was can come to me like this. You know, and
Yeah,
I
but
talk
you're
to the
used
Spanish
to it.
people over here in English, and the people told me, no, listen, well, speak Spanish. You know, okay, but now no, now I'm not speaking, English to nobody because nobody speaking English over here. Oh yeah, so you speak. There's a lot of people over here can speak English, but what they do, they not between us. They don't like to do it. But almost everybody Spanish has got it in what you call it, an answer.
Hmm.
How you say they got they don't speak it perfect. You know what I mean? They always got
Yeah,
the same.
perfectly.
Yeah, no, that's you had to have a lot of years, and or maybe you got to go to school. Maybe it's different. But the people can speak English over here, they always get an answer. Always, all the time.
I think one of the next themes we get into is basically discrimination, and he says that he didn't face discrimination, but I feel like he just kind of brushed it off, whereas discrimination did likely happen to him. People, like I said before, people would get mad at him for speaking English, but some people would laugh at him or they would get mad at him for speaking Spanish, but some people would laugh at him for the way that he spoke English. And I talked to him about if he ever faced discrimination, and he actually explained to me that when he first got here in 1968, there was probably 30 to 40, maybe 45 Spanish speakers that he got together with every single week and they would do things together. So I think another thing with that is there's not like this sort of isolation or this cultural aspect that gets separated, and it ties back into something that we did read in class about Jamaica and how the Jamaican poet talked about how they were colonizing in reverse. And he goes over and says that as the years passed, more and more Spanish people started coming to Syracuse and more of their culture started coming. And I had a part in the interview where I talked about Norristown and how it's a predominant Hispanic culture centric town, and there's a lot of Spanish speakers and there's a lot of Spanish Hispanic shops and things of that nature. And yeah, so I'm gonna let that clip play.
Yeah, people sometimes they laugh, you know what I mean? I had, they laugh when you talk like that, but what the hell, that's the only thing you know how to talk anyway.
Yeah.
Something very interesting that I found when speaking to him is that he uses pero instead of but, and I think it just comes off naturally. It's like habit to say pero instead of but, so I did find that interesting as well.
Was being discriminated because of the way that you spoke English something you thought about or had to experience when you were raising your family?
No, I know it's great. The only thing over there that was different, was if you speak Spanish,
Hmm.
people get mad. Si you
Yeah.
speak Spanish, around people that speak English, the people don't like it. Pero si you speak English, no matter how you speak it, people no, they don't matter anyway.
Okay.
I have problem like this, because si I speak Spanish, and people that they don't speak Spanish, some people get mad
Yeah.
because I was speaking in Spanish. Pero si I speak with, as the same like that, no, they never, some people laugh sometimes, how you say the words, pero
So
right. Cuando I moved to Syracuse, you know how many Spanish people there were there? In
just you.
1968, in Syracuse,
1968.
there was 1968. There was maybe about 45 people
Wow.
Spanish in Syracuse. 48, the most. About the most 60, 70, the most. And we made in this place every weekend. Looking with nobody else, you know what I mean? And we say
Yeah.
bar, and we meet there. All Spanish meet in the bar, and we talk Spanish. A lot of people go speak English, but they're looking out funny, you know. But we used to hang out in that place, and there in '68 there was maybe 70, 65 people only, and the whole city of Syracuse can speak Spanish, because they were Spanish. After a year, I see people they were growing, 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 and I was there 5 years. Oh, and more people coming from Puerto Rico, Mexico, every place the way Spanish come from, you know.
Hmm.
So getting to 10 minutes is basically going to be the conclusion to my video here. I think that his experience learning English second was very hard, and he had to face a lot of discrimination, which is something that we extensively go over in class. And there's a big power dynamic that goes into language and power where previously when he was working, he talks about just being able to work even though he didn't know English simply because they needed somebody to work. But now it's slowly changed and now it's different. You have to know English. But a big thing that he talks about is the unity of the people and where the Puerto Rican culture comes from and the Bad Bunny Super Bowl and the culture and the history. And I think that it's really important to keep that included in here, even though it's going to go over time since I only have 12 minutes. I'm just going to leave all of that after 12 minutes and just give a warning that 12 minutes is where the assignment ends, but after, if you'd like to listen to more of it, then you're welcome to, because I feel like the words that he talks about is very important, at least for me as somebody that doesn't know much about my heritage or culture. And I think that's the bigger thing is that he talks about how you don't need to know Spanish to be Puerto Rican, and that being Puerto Rican is being Puerto Rican. It's being something, and we have brothers everywhere, and we have sisters everywhere, and we should be together as a united people, as opposed to being separated and like fighting against each other. And I think that's a good message to leave off on.
I used
Um,
to do.
do you think like the language is something significant in the culture and like representation of being like Puerto Rican? Like, do Puerto Ricans have to know that language in order to like be Puerto Rican or like represent Puerto Rico?
Oh no, you don't have to be. You don't have to be Spanish to be Puerto Rico anyway. Puerto Rican, because you know I know a lot of Puerto Rican, and they come from New York over here and from other states. They don't speak Spanish.
Hmm.
Que his mother and father they speak Spanish, pero they come over here and they don't speak Spanish. They only speak English. I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
I got my nephew. He got a son that don't speak live in Florida. And then Florida has a lot of Spanish people. And his son don't speak Spanish. We
Yeah.
never told him, you know what I mean? He say a
Yeah.
lot of words porque he come here for Christmas. But he don't speak Spanish like I do or like his father does, you know. He only speak little bit of words, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, there's nothing wrong with that, you know. You don't have to speak Spanish. So you guys Puerto Rican, you know.
Hmm. Did you have any ways that you tried to like highlight or celebrate your language while you were in Syracuse? I know you talked about you got together with the 40 or so people in 1968.
Yeah, you know, I used to, you know, I never really, only thing I did was work and hang out on weekends with these guys can speak Spanish, you know, but the people can, si you don't speak no English, you don't want to speak talk to people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you don't make any friends, because, you know, they don't know how they're going to come to you and say, look, like, you know, how you going to
Yeah.
get in there with them, you know what I mean? It's funny. And by the time there was, si you was black and was, you know, of 1968, there was a lot of racism, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So you are Puerto Rican, they don't treat you too good.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? About the time in 68, they was tough, believe me. Especially with Italian people. Italian people hate Puerto Ricans,
Oh, I didn't know
you
that.
know? But in that time, in 68, they don't like Puerto Rican and they used to call us, this name, I want to tell you that, speak.
Ah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
In Spanish, puerco. Puerco. They used to call us that in 1968, speak, que somos unos puercos in Spanish. That's what I mean. There was a lot of fight, and we had a lot of arguing with these people, because they say that to us, you know what I mean? Porque you
Yeah.
know, no matter how much you call him gringo no es nothing bad.
Yeah.
No es bad word. Que gringo es mí, que yo americano, you know what I mean? Pero speak, es que yo era puerco, you know what I mean? Speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this way used to call us in 1968. they don't like black people. One thing, two, the Italian guy. By the time in 1968, we had a lot of fights. Well, because a lot of Puerto Ricans that we're African too. We got African. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You see a lot of Puerto Rican white. But they really don't know white. Maybe his grandmother was black. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The grandmother was black. It's just like that. We are, and really, the Latins, the Puerto Rican, they have about three languages: the Taino,
Hmm.
the African,
Hmm.
and Spanish. We got three languages. You don't believe that? That's the way it is. We are Spanish,
Hmm.
Tainos, and African.
Hmm.
Because they want me together about the time until you can marry with the Spanish, with the Kobe here, with Cristóbal Colón, and you can marry with the other one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a mix. It's a mix.
Yeah.
And these three races, Puerto Ricans, they're like that. There's no white Puerto Rican que told me I'm white, I'm Puerto Rican white. No. That's bullshit.
Hmm.
Every Puerto Rican got black blood, Taino, is Indian,
Hmm.
and we got Spanish and African. You know what I mean? That's the way
Yeah.
it is, really. Anybody
Yeah.
you ask can see anybody, that's the way it is.
Yeah. I have a
Porque I
friend
know a
that's
lot of people.
Dominican, and he told me like in the past, like Dominicans and Puerto Ricans didn't get along, or maybe he was joking. I wasn't sure. But do you know anything about
No,
that,
no.
like Dominicans and Puerto Ricans?
No, then we never get along, but a long time ago, what happened, Dominica is una republic,
Hmm.
republic, and Puerto Rico, United States, you know what I mean? We don't
Yeah.
need no passport to go any place, But the Dominican, you need, if you're not American, you need a passport to go to New York. See, we don't need it. And the other we got this thing, you know what I mean? The ring, something like that. And so, no, you get to go to any place, you need passport, we can go every place, things like that, pero the cuestión five, no. No.
Okay.
Porque the Republican, the same thing.
Yeah.
Cuando the slave come over here, they come to Republican Dominican too. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
what happened with the race mix. The slaves and the Spanish and the Indians, everything was together. You know what I mean? Their family, I call them family because we are all family. Because
Yeah.
everybody got blood. African, like I told you, African, Spain, and Indian. Like Puerto Rican like that. It's no Puerto Rican white. That's bullshit. And you can see anybody told you, I'm Spanish, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm white. That's bullshit. Every Spanish, Puerto Rican got black blood for African, and they got Taino for Puerto Rico Indians, and we got Spain, porque we
Hmm.
españoles they were here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I
Would
think maybe a lot of American people don't know that, right?
Yeah, no, a lot of them don't know that. It's
Yeah,
very we're we're in a very polarizing state here. A lot of people are at odds because of the administration, and it's been a lot about really like white supremacy and just like,
right.
uh yeah, like bad, how like, did you watch the Super Bowl? You know how Bad Bunny played at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I watch it. Yeah, watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, so people thought that was a big deal, and they were saying it was because I don't know if you've seen this. They were saying it was like un-American, and he shouldn't be playing there. But a lot of American people don't know that Puerto
I
Rico is
don't
a
think
part
it.
of America for some reason.
Yeah, they don't think Puerto Rico. Yeah, it's true. But what Bob Bunny did there was, he did something. Cuando he showed the thing, or that he jumped in the post, in the light,
Hmm.
he was saying something that happened
Yeah,
in Puerto Rico.
yeah,
This what happened. A lot of American people they don't like it.
yeah,
He showed how the Taino, the black, and he showed all the stuff there.
yeah,
Really, if you put attention real good, there was Tainos, there was slaves, you know what I mean? There was
yeah,
Españoles, you know what I mean? He was showing is the way the Puerto Rican are. He showed
Yeah.
where before we cut the sugar cane, all that stuff. He showed there. That's
Yeah.
how Puerto Rico come up. You know what I mean? And Latin American people don't understood it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's really what
a lot of
made me want to like learn Spanish and like learn more about Puerto Rico because I seen it, and he was
yeah.
basically just talking about the entire history and the culture of Puerto Rico.
Right, right. That's why we're talking in there, you know. But I get a lot of comments, you know, que people say, they're no good. I don't know what they did there, Super Bowl. But what it did was show the culture of Puerto Rico. He was showing, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?